everyone, and welcome to a new video. This time we are going to paint white on this Sanguinary Priest. Another blood angel for the commission I'm working on. As always, the paints will be shown on top of the screen, so you know exactly when I switch paints between them. A weight palette is coming soon, so bear with me please. My newer videos will include it. I just need a bit more time to edit everything so they can be released in the near future. So, white. Everybody loves painting white, right? Well, I actually don't have much experience with it. I've painted white before, but never a fully white armored space marine or a model in general. So this is a bit of a challenge for me. One great tip I have received from veteran painters is that you don't need white to achieve a white look. So let's put that into practice. The colors I'm using in this video are gray blue from AK Interactive, snow blue from AK Interactive, and ivory, all from AK Interactive. And as mentioned before, whenever I switch paints, you will see it displayed at the top of the screen. Let's get into it. The first step was to paint the entire helmet with gray blue. You can absolutely use an airbrush for this if you prefer. I just applied a few thin layers with a brush until it became nicely opaque in most areas. The brush I'm using is from Orange Brushes, size number 1. You'll find a discount code on the screen below if you want 10% of your next order. And the next step, we're gonna move on to snow blue. I'm thinning it down quite a bit, about 4 parts of water, since we are working with white. White paints can get chalky depending on the brand. So there are a couple of things you can do to avoid it. First of all, always shake your paints really well before using them. Secondly, build up your layers slowly. Start with very thin layers and apply them towards the areas you want to brighten up. So brush strokes go from shade to bright. It might look messy at start, but keep repeating the process because we are applying many thin layers and it eventually creates a smooth finish in the end. A lot of people avoid painting white because of that chalky effect, you know. But honestly, I think it depends on the paint and the technique you use. So far, I haven't had any major issues yet, although this is the first time I'm painting this much white on a model like the Sanguinary Priest. From my experience, which is limited, AK Interactive and Vallejo, they're both really good in white and other colors as well, of course. But personally, I slightly prefer the Vallejo one, that white to be honest, but both are solid choices. I've also heard P3 makes an excellent white. It's actually the favorite white of Richard Gray and many other painters as well, such as Tamara Witherspan also recommends it. So it might be worth trying out soon. Those who are definitely among my favorite painters, so I tend to trust their advice. At this stage, I'm going back and forth between the snow blue and gray blue. You can also mix them 50-50 to help with smoother transitions between the two tones. Play around with your paint consistency, add water for transparency, but always make sure to wipe off your excess paint from the brush and test it before you apply it. When testing, try twisting the brush to get a nice fine tip on it, since we're working on a small area. Controlled brush strokes and a bit of stippling really helps. The second part of the video, which will be uploaded next week, I hope, will focus on the details such as the eyes, the lenses and the other smaller elements. A lot of people have been asking about painting white, so I decided to split this video in two parts. I've also got another white tutorial coming up, focusing on the arm of the priest, as well as the backpack. And on top of that, I'm also working on a PDF guide for the white armor in general, which will be available on my Patreon soon. So there's plenty of white content coming in all formats. I just need to find the time to edit everything. That's honestly the hardest part of this. The painting itself isn't the issue, it's the editing and, the voiceover. It takes a lot of time. And since this isn't my main job, I normally work on a huge blast furnace, melting metals like lead and nickel. It's a pretty chaotic environment, and this hobby really brings me peace. It's a nice balance, although I wouldn't mind a little less chaos overall. Anyway, let's get back to painting. We are going to thin down 50-50 mix of gray blue and snow blue. As you can see, this is a very thin transparent layer, and I'm applying it all over the area, even over the snow blue. This is exactly what I mean by creating smoothness through thin layers and by going back and forth. It's completely fine to go over your previous layers with slightly darker colors. This particular mix needs quite a few layers before it starts to look smooth and opaque. Always keep in mind, when you're using a brighter color than your previous layers, your brush strokes should go from shadow to light, and when you're using a darker tone, your brush strokes should be going the other way, like we're doing now, from light to shadow. That's because most of the paint is released when your brush leaves the surface, not when it first touches. So after applying this layer, you will notice the overall brightness drops a little bit. That's completely normal. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the snow blue, and we're going to start brightening up the areas again that we want to stand out, like the mouthpiece, on top of the helmet, and also on the sides, on the ears. This is also quite a detailed helmet, which is why I'm splitting this into two parts, so we can properly focus on both, the white and the finer details. With snow blue, we're basically reinforcing what we did at the start, building up thin layers to achieve, this smooth finish we all want. The top of the helmet can be a bit tricky. What I did here was push the edge highlight quite a bit far, almost pure white. Then I added a small darker area for contrast. And after that, I created a subtle reflection to simulate light coming from above, But that's for the top of the helmet. I started adding a bit of ivory into the snow blue now, making it somewhat 50-50 mix, along with some water. Whenever you're using fresh paint, make sure to thin it down properly. We want to make sure everything is thinned down so we can build up gradually. The more layers you apply with this, the smoother your result will be. And as you can see, it's already starting to look like white, even though we haven't used pure white yet, and we're not even gonna use it. Try to keep up with the edge highlights wherever possible. We've been focusing a lot on the front of the helmet, but don't forget the backside as well. A good teacher once told me a model should look good from all angles, not just from the main light source. But it's also, you also have to create a focal point. So even for the backside, you have to create a focal point. So while the front gets the most attention, the back still needs some subtle lighting as well. From this point on, we'll start giving that a bit more focus. One thing to be careful with is the mouthpiece. It's a small area. If you're edge highlighting around the vents, take your time, make sure your brushes has a sharp tip and the right consistency. Always test before applying. And if you make a mistake, don't worry, you can always fix it later. The most important is the edge highlights from the vents. The vents are already very small, so you gotta make sure these highlights, these edges are very thin and sharp. But if you mess up, like I said, you can always fix it again with the previous mixes you have available on your palette. At the moment, I'm really happy with how the armor is turning out so far. I went for a colder white, but you can also push it into a more neutral or warmer tone. This is something I like to experiment with more in the future. So, and this Blood Angel, as said before, is a part of a larger commission. So there's a lot more coming, such as the Sanguinary Guards, the new Blood Angel Captain I'm painting at the moment as well, with Power Fist, Astaroth the Grim, a Terminator Chaplain, so plenty to look forward to. There's even a Zinj model in the commission. Well, Zinj models. Kind of unexpected, but the client also has a Thousand Sun army, which is his main army. I've already painted a part of that, and the PDFs for those models are available on my Patreon. I'll probably upload some videos on, the Thousand Suns as well, because I haven't really uploaded any videos on them, only PDFs, so maybe I'll upload a few, such as the copper effect and the liquid and glass effect on the gun. Maybe the gold trim if you want to. I can release a video about that if I still have the material. I'm not sure about that. For the video, for part 1 at least. So going back and forth between colors is what really helped me achieve a smooth white. And as you've seen, we didn't even use pure white yet. If you want to, you can push the highlights even further. So that's all up to you. It takes time, but honestly the details in part 2 will probably take a little bit longer than this video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. More wide tutorials are on the way. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, message me on my social media or reach out on the Discord. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.